Hi, guys. I just wanted to pop in and talk to you quickly about Saturn going into Aquarius. So I'm going to start us off with a bell. Okay. And just a quick couple minutes, probably, about the energies that we've been going through because I think they've been quite dramatic. Um, in case you didn't notice, this weekend was a little as if we were being as if we were stuck in the quicksand, the kind of non-movable mud that is the end degrees of Capricorn, and trying to push this big boulder up out of it. So we weren't really going anywhere. We weren't really doing anything. We were exhausted, but we couldn't sleep. Otherwise, clearly we'd drop the boulder down. I'm always asking my friends, how do you feel? What's going on? And you guys might have found yourselves very much hermiting this weekend, very much sticking to your close environment, very much sticking within your walls, which is very Capricornian. It was a slow grind of a weekend. So that's over. It seems like a week ago that the eclipse even was, but perhaps on that day you felt buzzy. It was very buzzy before that eclipse. It was very I have a nerve disorder, so I literally feel a lot of things in my hands and in my body. I can tell the pressures that are going on, but I'm sure you guys all felt this as well. Maybe emotionally. It was just a lot. It was like you're almost shaking or vibrating, or the things around you were just kind of intense. And then on that day, there was an audible silence and kind of like a slight switch. And there were a lot of triggery people that day if they didn't know what was going on, if they didn't pay attention to the astrology. Now, a lot of people think that you use astrology for it's a divination, and I don't consider it like that. I've always called it a dress for the weather, because if you know what's going on and you know what to expect, then, as my guru says, you won't be grabbed by it. You won't, if you know there's going to be some irritating energies, you won't, you'll stop yourself before you react, and you won't be like what, a raving lunatic that's triggered by everybody and kind of getting angry and not understanding why. So that's what was going on. Now, today you might have felt a lot lighter, a lot easier, maybe wanting to move, or allowing yourself to just be a little bit lighter and a little bit happier. Maybe even wanted to dance or just run around and have some physical motion. And that is the energy of Saturn going into Aquarius, which is an air sign, which is amazing. With that movement, we have still got mud clinging to us. So also perhaps you felt moments where you were happy, and then suddenly things that got brought into your attention that were really still quite annoying to you. Kind of like the incense in my face right now. So clearly I'm just going to take care of that because it was brought to my attention. So the same thing is happening in you guys' lives. So the things, when you're feeling lighter, when you're feeling happier, when you're able to, we were very concentrated on the step-by-step, material things that we had to take care of a lot for the last year, couple weeks, And we were very stuck in things, and it's almost like we had our head down and we had to be to the grind. So that's changing. But the things that are still irritating you, the things that are still triggering you, the things that are still getting a rise out of you, are really poignant signs that those are things that you're being asked to change, to release, to let go of. I love fixed stars. So fixed stars are things that not a lot of astrologers focus on, but I find that they have a great story that comes along with them. So before Saturn goes into Aquarius and before Jupiter goes into Aquarius, it makes that beautiful conjunction that you'll be able to see in the southwestern sky. That is what the Magi's looked on, the astrologers of Jesus's time, to show them where the Savior would be born. Before this conjunction comes in for us, Pallas Athena, the fixed star, has gone ahead into Aquarius. And that is a female goddess, and she's a warrior goddess. She fights for the good and for the integrity. But what I haven't heard anybody mention is who she holds on her shield. So Pallas Athena has a shield, and on that shield is Medusa's head and the star Algol. Now, I can speak personally of the star Algol because it is in my midheaven, and it is apparently like the harshest star in all of astrology. But with the experience of Algol, you learn a lot of lessons. And I think people don't understand Medusa's legend, and they don't understand why Medusa's head is on Pallas Athena's shield. So I am going to reiterate that story for you, to tell you kind of what I'm feeling and what that fixed star means as we go into this great conjunction. So Medusa was killed because she was having relations with Neptune in, she was a handmaiden having relations, and she was killed because she was found, and they thought it was Medusa having an affair, but actually Medusa was being raped, and reacting out of anger and jealousy and whatever. Like, Medusa was turned into this snake person that, every man that looked at her was turned to stone. In retrospect, it was found that Medusa was innocent of her crimes, and that Pallas Athena wears Medusa, the Algol star, on her shield to remind her to get all the facts and not react emotionally or triggery, and not to react violently or right away, without thinking out the repercussions, without hearing both sides of the story. So I'm very excited because in a lot of places it's been so very polarized, because of emotions, because of fear of what will happen, and because of just not seeing the other party's perspective in things. So the fact that Pallas Athena is leading us into this great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter going into Aquarius, which is a air sign, which does ask us to think about the facts, which does take our hard stone like things that we think that we know, and turns them into being curious about maybe things that we don't, and being willing to admit that. So that's exciting for me. That's exciting for me just because I think that a lot of the polarization that has happened, I know that a lot of the polarization that has happened is because of fear, and anger that always comes out of fear. And it's just a deep non-understanding of each other. And with Aquarius, we won't be so fixed in our opinions. We won't be so fixed in our side. We won't be so fixed and stuck in ourselves and the old way that we thought about things or the old way that we manifested things. And we're going towards a really lighter energy. So that's amazing. You might have felt that today. A lot of you might be actually doing Aquarius things, well, clearly everyone's online more, but maybe you're reaching out to more people and speaking to more people. Like, I am a hermit by nature. My Saturn, my walls, my hermitage is in the 12th house. So literally, I want to be a hermit all the time. I want to be creative in my little hole where nobody sees me. But more and more, instead of doing readings and talking to people, on the material realm, I'm talking to people online. So even me, who has Saturn in its joy, is reaching out. So I feel that a lot of you may be crawling out of your little caves as well. It's poignant that however you feel about the immunization that took the air this week, in America at least, and rather than have a thick Saturn earthly opinion about how this is going to go, because we really don't know, we can admit that. We're being asked to use the energies of the air signs and just, sit back with Saturn, be patient, and think of it. Wait to see the facts come in. So I think that that's what we're all doing. So that's amazing. And that's a lot lighter than seeing people say like, oh no, it's going to be this way or it's going to be this way when we don't have the facts yet. So we're being asked to Gemini, not get too many facts, not get just stuck in our head kind of facts, but, just wait for the facts to come into us. Hold on just one second. All right. So with leaving Saturn and Capricorn, we were stuck. We were in mud. Sometimes that was fun. Sometimes that was enjoyable. Sometimes we were taking mud baths, and they were actually, the silence and the stillness was detoxifying us and cleansing us and drawing the things out of us that we didn't need anymore. Like the Buddhists say, no mud, no lotus. Like that mud has literally encapsulated us over the past year and softened our outer shell. And now's the time where our lotus seeds have been softened enough to crack, to send up that first shoot into the air, out of the water, out of the mud. So that's amazing. I think a lot of us will be not stuck in what is and going towards what ifs, which is amazing. The thing about going forward is you will have poignant moments of perhaps situations that you did not perceive correctly, and how you perhaps didn't act the way that you should out of, just your sided view, your very Saturn stuck in your way kind of view. And in order to be released from that burden, you're really being asked to apologize. Like, I literally had to send a sincere apology today to one of my friends, just for, no one's perfect and people say dumb things and people get, whatever. We're all humans. We're all on our path. So I don't think he watches this channel, but Alex, I'm sincerely sorry. Yeah. And it makes me feel lighter being able to come to the heart and tell him, and it'll make you guys lighter to tell people that perhaps you misjudged or misreacted in a situation, that you're deeply sorry from the depths of your heart. And if you say it like that, people will hear you. And if these are people that have passed on, literally you can still say it to them. Everyone has their own truth, but I can tell you from my own truth that I know that they hear you. And I'm super excited with this lightning about, I guess, what the internet's calling the Bethlehem star. I haven't actually read any of the like Google things about what mainstream media is saying about the Bethlehem star, but I know since I'm a student of astrology and, I was brought up a Christian, like how exciting it is to be able to look in the southwestern sky on Monday and see Saturn and Jupiter so close together that they make one star, which is what the Magi saw and followed literally to find Jesus and gift him. So I find it a beautiful thing that it's been a very earthly time. It's been earth for so many years, and we've all been structured in the norms of what has gone before and, kind of what we were told to be true. But I find it a beautiful thing that a lot of the people that thought that astrology was like not a good thing or like somehow anti-Christian are now looking up in wonder and seeing these stars. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to see something that around the time of the story, around the time of Christmas, that is the same thing that we're led to Jesus, who is a historical fact. So, I'm open with stories of everybody, and Jesus does rule the heart. Like I feel that, but I find it beautiful that groups of Christians that maybe didn't think that way are now, instead of looking down and into earth for their truth, are looking up to the stars, are looking up into Aquarius, into the air, and perhaps being curious about, seeing it in a different fashion. I was actually very uncomfortable with astrology earlier this year because I do have a Christian family and I do respect their views and I do love Jesus and I am, a believer of his word. Maybe not some of the things that people take snippets of. You can't take a snippet of things and try and, just like use in persecution of other people, I guess. And that's not all Christians. That's not even a majority of the Christians that I know. But I was sad about that. But my dad was like, when I told him about all my stuff, all my crazy stuff that I had going on, he was like so okay with it. Because he reminded me that my mom did tarot, which I totally forgot somehow. And how he was the one, like a Christian was the one that reminded me before I even knew this great conjunction was going on, that it was astrologers that led the wise men like to Jesus. So thank you, Dad, who is passed over now, for that enlightenment. So as we're talking about that, a little bit about Saturn and Jupiter, if in case you, and from a very student level, and how that is beautiful that it led the Magi's, the wise men, to Jesus. So Saturn represents the father. It represents rock, the old structure, like the crumbling of structures, the breaking of structures, like solitude, the walls that keep you apart. And then Jupiter represents like the sun and spirituality and an enlargement and foreign lands. So I think, and I'm getting truth chills, I think that the fact that we're seeing Saturn and Jupiter come together as one star, and that the astrologers equated Saturn coming together with Jupiter as the birth of this new savior is just so, it makes so much sense because, Saturn being the father and kind of the walls that keep apart and rules and holding back, is much like the Old Testament. And then the sun coming in, which would have been represented by Jupiter, and the expanding of, the love and the expanding of Christianity to foreign lands, and the expanding of the Christian religion in general, and just the softer side that is Jupiter, like not feeling so like locked down in all of these rules because we had this sun, the savior that came in and, kind of expanded our outlook. And that's just really beautiful from a Christianity or an astrology side. And to see those kind of meld together as we're moving into Aquarius is, from a religious standpoint, a really beautiful, beautiful thing to be going on right now, especially the Christmas season. So I really feel like, because of the things that are happening, everything happens in a divine pattern, in divine will. I think that a lot of people don't know that astrologers, people who study astrology, you are not to study astrology. It's not just like reading or divining. You cannot study astrology or, read energies or speak to people or read tarots without a deep rooted, spiritual relationship with God. That is kind of like one of the ancient rules. And I think that maybe a lot of other religions don't know that. I don't even know if you'd be able to pick up. Maybe you would, but that's not my experience. Like I was not able to pick up messages until I refound that relationship. And I think that with that knowledge, and people speaking out about it, like Aquarius, and people talking to each other about it, there's going to be just a really more compassionate blending, and to not see the two parts as polarized as we've been. Like, not everything has to be like this or that. Both of these can be true, which is literally a message I got, like, in July, like both of these are true. And that is true. So let me think if there was anything else that came up that I needed to talk about. So yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, even before this week, people have been downsizing. They've been getting rid of a lot of material things that people like collected over the years too, like not needing those things. I know my mom passed. I was very attached to her things. Like I wanted things that I could hold in my hand for her. And my dad had just passed September 3rd. And my siblings gave me his watch. Now I'm getting like teary-eyed. His watch, which is just like all I really wanted from my dad, which is weird because like Saturn stands for the father, and I got his timepiece, and Saturn like is kind of the father of time, so that was like just beautifully significant. But other than that, like it was so much easier to let his material things go, because it's like instead of having these material things, instead of having all these material memories, we're really we're really connecting to like the air, the essence of these things, the feelings of these things and these people that we remember, like the memories of them. So that's good, like the stories that we can tell about this or that, and we don't necessarily need the thing to do that with. But I've seen a lot of like collectors that have been collecting all over the years, like get rid of like whole collections just to downsize, just to make things easier and lighter. So they feel lighter and they don't need to be comforted by all these things around them. So that's just what I am picking up on this week. Like, it's just almost like, yeah, we're cracking open like the lotus, or like getting out of the mud pit where we just pushed this big boulder ball out and it was hard and no one could sleep. And even though we were exhausted, and it was really heavy this last weekend, but it's definitely a lighter feel today. So I'm excited to see what other people are feeling in their lives. But yeah, as we come out, those places where you're getting irritated, you're being asked to call attention to those. You're being asked to forgive and ask for forgiveness so that those things won't irritate you anymore. The places that are irritating you still need your attention, still need your change so that you can let those drop. But we're going to have a lot more ability with Mars station to get all those things done that we need to get done, that perhaps the responsibilities that we've kind of like, been stuck around and just not had enough energy to do lately. We're going to have a lot more energy to do that. And it's not going to be like so weighing on us with the inability to move towards it. So that's amazing. And I'm not saying that we're going to like start off and it's going to be like some rocket ship to space. Saturn and Jupiter are together kind of like as our training wheels as we go into 2021. Like, I, for one, almost need a Saturn, because with all the fire in my chart, like I would just be like, and like go a bunch of places. But like Jupiter's about expanding. And if I didn't have Saturn there to like, kind of ground me from going at things too fast, they wouldn't be thought out enough. They wouldn't have enough information. I wouldn't really have the time, Saturn, the timekeeper, to think about what direction we really want to go. So it's actually a blessing to have Saturn go with us into the conjunction into Aquarius before Jupiter like flies ahead. We still have that grounding spot. If you guys want to know like where exactly like you're working on going into Aquarius, I know mine are with I'm very cuspy, and I have an antisha between my sun and my rising sign, so it means like they're essentially the same. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm working on the 6th and the 7th house. So I'm working on my day-to-day activities and doing all the things that I need to do, and health and stuff, and the other people in my life. So perhaps that's why I'm speaking to you guys, because you're my others in the Aquarius realm. So I'm just getting something. So yeah, as you look at the stars on Monday, even if you're not a Christian, like definitely pay homage to that story and that joy that is brought to other people's hearts. Like, I consider myself a Christian that, practices Buddhism because I'm a child, and like it totally finds the same stories and the same love like in other stories, be it Krishna or Judaism or Islam. Like I'm pretty open to everybody's belief, and I do feel like people are going to be like that in the future. Like, even if it's not your belief, you're going to respect that it's other people's belief, and just be happy that they have any kind of thing that they're passionate about. So that's exciting, guys. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say tonight. I don't know if that helped you guys or if you resonated with the energies that are going on, but I'm definitely feeling a lot lighter today. Not so there's going to be bumps. Like there were definitely things that came into my life today that I definitely need to work on. So when you guys see those, um, know those that's the mud drying there and kind of solidifying so that you can't miss it. Um, yeah, it's really gonna probably be maybe a thorn in your side, the things, which makes things a lot easier because we've had way too much information. We didn't know which way to look in the last couple months. It was just a lot. Um, so when you get those annoyances, be thankful for that because then you know what you really need to take care of, and it's not going to be so like. Um, as you get clarity and as your life eases up, there are a lot of people out there that because of the economy and because of situations are not having an easy time. And even if that's not your reality, let that be a dried piece of mud in your side. And I pray that you find ways to extend your gifts, whatever they are, to people in situations um, less fortunate than yours, or extend your hand to absolutely anybody, um, regardless of what group they belong to, whatever that might mean to you, regardless of what label you give them or what labels they have had in the past. Um, because this is really a time of not focusing on the self in our heritage, in our Saturn and Capricorn, and those walls kind of being broken down and us coming up from that and looking at humanity as a whole and coming together. Um, so I really hope, even if that doesn't come to you for later in the year, that's just something to think about, that's where we're going, that's how we're going to get ahead, is by the sharing of ideas, by the curiosity of otherness. I come from the situation where, I do see a lot of hardships and poverty. And because, like, I'm in that, I'm able to say, like, these people are not lazy. These people are not just not working. These people are, like, so struggling. And I know that that's been the view in the past. But I think it's because you can never really know until you're in that situation how another person feels. Um, I know that in the past, like with older generations, it was easy to just go out and get a job. It was easy to just like go and work at the corner shop. But I think there's going to be some enlightening um, that that's not the case anymore. That it is harder than maybe people have thought or people have just had their rock Saturn opinion of. So those opinions will be breaking, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Um, and as for us that are taking our Pallas Athena shield and going forward to fight for goodness and justice, don't forget that Medusa's head is there for a reason. And before you go out and group people into a group or see people as a group, know that there's individuals in individual situations and they all have a heart, and try and really feel that heart and think of that heart and understand that all sides of all situations are scared. If there's conflict, it's due to people clinging to things or afraid or not needing enough, or that's where anger comes from. Really, anger is emotions, like having so many emotions in a situation. So see Medusa's head there and know not to react with emotions, because that is the way to find victory and to find justice um, and to find unity and a way to kind of imagine what we're going to rebuild from here. So that is my feelings as only Saturn goes into Aquarius. Maybe it'll be a little more rocky as Jupiter joins the club, but Pallas Athena already sits there with the algol on her shield. And I just really hope that you guys can find some uplifting energies, some hope, some ways out of the concrete that has been kind of the last year, and some movement ahead. It's not a time to make quick movement. We're all starting off pretty slow, but that is for the best of us. Just really, I guess, be curious about your future and how you would want to see it go forward. What things you would change, find out what things other people would change, exchange ideas. And it's really a time of hope. Just like truth chills, just like the Saturn Jupiter conjunction. Yeah, we're probably not having a savior be born again with this conjunction. But I really got the message through my meditations that this is kind of like the ball's being passed to us, and we are being asked to act as our own saviors, like in unison, in like love and cooperability. So if you're a Christian or not, like, see that, know the story of, the Star of Bethlehem, and really have hope in that, and know that, that cooperation starts with you on an individual level, being able to see the big picture, the Aquarius picture of humanity as a whole, and how we can have differences but beautifully work together to go forward from here. So that's all I've got tonight, guys. I hope you all are having an amazing evening, and I will talk to you later. Oh, I'll do the bell. So just a deep breath in, guys. There you go. Have a good night.